On today's show, we're going to be talking about Steve Bannon appearing at the University of Chicago, the controversy surrounding Chelsea Manning and her appearance with several new right personalities, video games. Companies are banning players and monitoring them on social media outside of their own platforms, plus many more. This is the Culture War Podcast. Hey everybody, my name's Tim Poole. I'm a journalist, and joining me today is Emily Molly and Reactor.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
So before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, all of you. If you haven't already, go to patreon.com/Culture War Podcast and become a patron today. There are several different tiers to choose from. For those of you who have been following me, this is going to be a big new thing we're launching, so we could really use the support. There's more people involved than just me. We've got to pay the bills, and with your support, we can continue to do it. So hopefully, Subverse will be something that is very awesome. But I digress. Let's get started on the first story. And the first thing I want to do is talk about video games and the companies that are monitoring players on social media and in some instances actually banning players for their social media posts. And the reason I want to bring this up is that I did a video yesterday where I talked about this, and I'm not entirely sure if it was just an issue of me screwing up the edit or making a mistake, but I think actually it might have been the title. People think that I'm insinuating Blizzard, the makers of World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and Overwatch, was banning players because of offensive things they were saying on social media. So I want to clarify, and we'll get into the story for those that are unfamiliar. Overwatch announced that they're actually going to start monitoring players on social media for toxic behavior. Specifically, and I think this is kind of an assumption, but there was a clarification statement. What they mean is, if you are playing Overwatch and you do things they consider to be toxic, and then post this to social media, they use that as evidence to take action against you. Not that they are going to players' accounts and seeing them post, like a Pepe meme or something. They're specifically referring to in-game behaviors that they find evidence of outside of the game. Now that being said, there's also one thing I brought up, which it is true, players have been banned from some games due to posting memes, and that's Travis Wu, one of the prime examples. And Jeremy Hambly, I think his name is. I actually met him, so I feel bad for getting his name wrong. Or I should say I spoke with him on a Google Hangout. But essentially what you have here is Travis Wu is a Magic the Gathering player who was banned from competitive play for 1 year because apparently he was part of a private group, what people believe to be a private group, on Facebook where they were posting memes. Now, some people have said that they were racist and misogynist. That's you hear that so much, I don't know whether or not to believe it. But regardless, the point is, this is a guy who got banned from playing a game because Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes Magic, found out he was posting offensive memes on Facebook. Literally had nothing to do with the game. And so he got banned for it. And now, so that's specifically a player being banned for memes, and I believe it's not the only instance. There may be a few others, but it's probably the most notable. Then we have with Overwatch. Overwatch is a team shooter game where you get to choose one of 26 characters, and then you go around killing each other, and there's objectives and things like that. They're going to be monitoring players off game, so they're looking for in-game behaviors. But the point is, there's a difference between being banned for posting memes and being banned because you're dropping racial slurs in the game and then uploading it to YouTube. So I want to clarify that. But I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that. Because I kind of want to have a short conversation quickly about the future in which companies are going to monitor your behavior off-platform, right? I understand that Blizzard is looking for evidence of people in-game making the game suck. But you still have to consider what this means is that Blizzard has hired people, or the Overwatch team, whatever, to actually start watching YouTube videos, like to look at people's social media.
Are you sure it's not for just like when people get reported?
No, he specifically said, even if they haven't been reported. Actually, do you want to read the statement?
Okay, so I have Kaplan's statement. We now proactively seek out social media sites like YouTube, for example, and look for incidents of very toxic behavior and track down the accounts that are participating in those and action them, oftentimes before anybody's even reported them or they've shown up in any other place. So I can't tell from this whether they're preemptively actioning or they're just keeping an eye on them, and then once they're reported, then they have enough evidence.
Well, it says even if they haven't been reported.
Yeah, which makes it sound like they're basically saying we've hired people to look for needles in haystacks.
So here's the thing. When this statement first came out, a lot of people were like, No. He's saying that like in-game behaviors, like if you're playing Overwatch and you're making the game suck, they'll look for that. But I gotta say, based on his initial statement, monitoring players' YouTubes for toxic behavior doesn't like you'd have to assume he's talking about in-game behavior. That statement alone simply means that there might be a prominent YouTuber who does Overwatch that they know about, and one day he makes a video that's toxic, so they ban him from the game.
Trolling people in Overwatch, maybe.
No, not even in Overwatch. My understanding is they issued some kind of clarification.
Yeah, it's anything from abusive chat, harassment, in-game spam, match inactivity, and griefing.
Griefing. So here's the conundrum I proposed yesterday. Toxic behavior. Actually, do you want to read that one more time? The list of.
It means anything from abusive chat, harassment,
Okay.
in-game spam.
That's what I want to clarify. Abusive chat and harassment. Okay. What does abusive chat mean? Is there a clear definition?
There's no clear definition, but
Right. Do you guys have an assumption about what abusive?
Physically harming someone with chat?
Yeah, like
well,
printing the words on a piece of paper, balling it up, and hitting people with it.
I want to know
Yeah.
what the difference between abusive chat and a harassment is.
Yeah.
So the conundrum I proposed the other day is with this idea of toxic behavior is what is or is not toxic, right? What's abusive? If someone makes a Trump joke or a Pepe joke, is that abusive? What if 3 players on your team are laughing their ass off like, this is a hilarious joke, oh my god, I love this game, these people are so funny, and then one person goes, that's racist, and gets mad at you, and then reports you. You will get in trouble.
Or what if
I
you're
assure
the
you.
only racist and they're all not being racist and it offends you?
Do you have a right to be racist?
If you're the minority, they should accommodate you.
Look, if Overwatch wants to ban you from their game, I guess sure. I think they should issue a refund if that's the case. I don't know. It's a complicated situation trying to balance like the right to run a business the way you want, but also people having a right to freely express themselves and be regular people. But here's the problem: if you have 6 players on one team, if 5 players are all laughing at a Pepe joke, and one player says that's racist and submits a report, and then they see that video on YouTube, what are they going to pick? Is that individual who's reviewing that going to say that is or is not racist? We don't know. We don't know who that person is.
You're offending them by not laughing at their joke.
Well, I guess at that point you have to ask what the process is. If they just see it, they're like, okay, ban. Or they have to like go in and
Watch the whole video, watch every video.
or
on the
even just
channel.
talk to the
Yeah.
person who was offended and who reported it.
So, but here's look. Ugandan Knuckles is racist, right? That's what all these websites are saying.
Yeah.
But the
Well, I
people,
don't agree, but-
the people in VR chat are like, dude, it's a joke. And a lot of the arguments that I've heard is that, oh, it's racist because they're making clicking sounds and they're using a Ugandan accent. That's racist.
But Uganda's a country, not a race.
Right, sure. And then, but the counter argument is that simply imitating an accent is not racist. Is it racist to use a British accent? And so the point is, if you said, actually, this is really funny. Overwatch League, okay, it's huge. You turn on Twitch, which is like the main gaming live platform. Hundreds of thousands of people are watching Overwatch League. Esports are massive. There's millions of dollars being handed out in prizes, and there's a ton of different teams. One of them, Florida Mayhem. There's a video where they said, let's listen in and see what Florida Mayhem is talking about. And you know what everyone on the team was saying? Do you know Dewey? He knows Dewey. He does not know Dewey. That's what they were all saying it to each other while they were playing the game. And like the commentators were like, okay, that was interesting. And so all of these pro players are doing it. Is that racist? Well, some people think it is. So is Kaplan gonna say that's abusive harassment and now ban that Overwatch League team? Or do they get a special pass because they're pro players? Is the person reviewing these YouTube videos going to say it is or is not racist? We don't know. We don't know who that person is. And not everyone agrees that it's racist. This is the problem. You can't...
I feel like sub-Saharan Knuckles would be racist.
But why would that even be racist?
Because you're kind of aiming towards a race of people as opposed to...
But is Uganda Knuckles disrespecting them?
Yeah, I mean, they're not making the... If it's a Ugandan accent even, I don't know. If they're
Yeah,
making an accent but doing it in a person with that accent and they're stupid at the same time, you know?
But I don't think that's... I don't think anyone... I don't...
Yeah.
I mean,
I think so.
honestly, I'm sure there are some people who have totally made it racist. But the overall idea of a short little Knuckles character saying, do you know Dewey? I don't understand how that is inherently disparaging Ugandan people or sub-Saharan Africans.
I haven't seen the original video where the character like came from. It's like a cartoon or something, I think.
But apparently it was I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna stay away from that. You know
Yeah.
you know what I say about Uganda Knuckles though? It's really funny because I heard these little kids saying it's an old meme. They're like, that's an old meme, and the idea that it's an old meme is almost a meme itself. Because I've seen people talking online. Like I think Joey Sal's tweeted, "Is Ugandan Knuckles too old of a meme now?" And that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard because Pepe is like what, a decade old or older.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you talk about old memes, talk about Pepe. That kid's in high school already, you know. Well, I'm joking, but
Pepe's in high school.
I'm kidding. Like I'm saying, that's how old it is. It's old enough to be gone. You know. And Uganda Knuckles is like what, 3 weeks old, a month old, a couple months maybe. Yeah. So, but now there's this idea that's like an old meme. I don't know. I digress. Let's not sit around and I don't know. You have any final thoughts on video game policing? I guess we can move on to.
I don't know. When I was a kid playing Mario 3, I never thought this would come. Video games would come to this.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but I guess we'll just have to see it in action before we can see whether or not it's a good thing.
Yeah, I know why they're doing it. For money.
How though? I mean, is there like parents against mean talkers in Overwatch?
They look when it comes to politics or any public facing accommodation, you want to cater to the lowest common denominator. That way you can get as many people as possible buying your game. So they're erring on the side of let's get rid of anything offensive, because look, if people are content, they'll play the game. If people are happy, they'll play the game. But if people are unhappy, they won't play the game. So let's get rid of anything that makes anyone unhappy ever. And that means instead of people being, laughing at certain jokes, you'll end up with people just kind of being like, yeah, sure, whatever, I guess.
But do you think this is actually something that's going to make people play the game less?
Yeah, I don't think that matters. Like, everyone knows you play a video game online and kids are going to say shit about your mom,
And you're going to get banned for it. You're going to get action taken against you for it. I mean, I will say almost all of these games have always been, I guess you can call it toxic, for whatever that means. In my opinion, it means it's just nasty. It's like, but when I play Call of Duty and someone says they want to do my mom, I'm kind of like, okay, like that's really bad. Like honestly, kid, that's a bad joke. Like that's not funny. I understand. It's just dumb. But we play when we play Grand Theft Auto, we say stupid shit all the time because it's funny. We're just goofing around and we joke around with the people we're playing with. And so I guess the big conundrum is, will it make people play less? Yes, it will. Absolutely. Is it going to make a lot of people play less? I don't know. Is it going to dramatically impact the game? I don't know. But I can guarantee you there will be players who play less or who outright quit or are banned.
I feel like it's really hard to offend someone over a video game chat.
Well,
like, you have to really cut into them and know them.
Dude, I disagree. Seriously? Like,
well, I mean, if like they have a slushie,
everything's offensive.
Make fun of it.
Literally everything's offensive, all the time. Like, there are people who are social justice activists who post. I'll give you an example. This woman that I worked with at Fusion, she made a video called, it was something like female-bodied sexual health or something, sexual protection. And she specifically says, this video is for people with vaginas to be safe when they have sex with other people with vaginas. And the trans community, not the entirety of it, but a decent, like a bunch of trans activists, attacked her saying it was an offensive, degrading video because it was aimed at only female-bodied individuals, but trans women are women and they don't have vaginas. Why couldn't she make a video for them too? It was offensive to make that video. Even though she tried outlining everything about it and it was as respectful as possible, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because someone will always be offended. Mm-hmm. And that's the big problem with what they're doing. If I make a joke about, like, you hear about this dog. Okay, so there was some young Hispanic girl lost her dog. And the dog's name is Negro. All right, that's Spanish for black. Mm-hmm. And she tweeted something like, my dog Negro is missing. Please help. Please retweet this. And everyone said, I can't believe you're so racist. You would name your dog that. How dare you? And then she has to explain to people that she didn't say Negro. She said Negro. And that's Spanish word for black. And then some people were like, I don't care. I don't care if that's a Spanish word for black. Spanish is racist. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter what you do, I know tons of people who named their dogs Negro and Blanca. Blanco, Blanca, or whatever, white and black. But yeah, like, so I don't know. When the Woods of the Coast thing happened and they banned a player because they didn't like his offensive YouTube videos. I like a lot of people said this guy, the Quartering or whatever, was offensive and he made some cosplayer quit. And I'm like, yeah, look, if you're harassing somebody, YouTube should take action. I don't understand why you can't play Magic the Gathering because you made a video about someone.
If you feel unsafe. If you feel like you're going to be offended by playing a video game, you shouldn't play that video game because your feelings might get hurt. And if that's really important to you to not have your feelings hurt, you should probably stay out of the public.
Or you can even turn off the chat or mute the people talking. Like there's other ways.
So
it should ban people who get offended.
What do you do? Someone's always going to be offended, and that's the point. Like if they ban, or if you make one joke that offends one person out of a million, are they going to take action against you? Like who knows?
I would ban the offended people. I'd be like, we're keeping you safe. Stay
yeah,
away.
maybe you shouldn't be allowed to use chat anymore.
We don't want you to be offended.
But it's not about the majority. It's about protecting the victimhood status or whatever. When Cernovich started, and actually let's transition to the Jack Murphy story, and I'm going to start by talking about Mike Cernovich. I think it was Cernovich who dug this old tweet up, but an old tweet from Sam Cedar was dug up, where he made a joke about Roman Polanski raping his daughter. The point of the tweet was to criticize the left for defending Roman Polanski after he was he convicted? Like, it's like definitive that he did these horrible things to children.
It's pretty definitive.
So, the left is very defensive of him. So Sam Cedar made this joke where he said, like, I wish if someone raped my daughter, it would be, greatest person is Roman Polanski or whatever. And that tweet got dug up, and MSNBC terminated Sam Cedar's contract because of it. Even though the context of the joke was in defense of the left and in opposition. They didn't care. They did not care. It offended enough people to where they were like, not your gun. And so, even though most people aligned with Cedar and the left and MSNBC were like, no, don't do this, and the right was like, get him out, they got him out. Eventually they brought him back, though. They reinstated his contract. But the point is, and this is kind of a good tie-in, it doesn't matter if the majority of people are saying, the majority of your community are saying, this is okay, we understand this. If enough people seem offended or if there's a risk, the company is going to be like, you're gone. And that's why we need to be very careful, especially in video games, when they start monitoring players on social media for their behaviors in or off game. But now we can go into the next story, which has a lot to do with the Cernovich thing, which is this guy Jack Murphy. Do you want to tell me what?
He is being investigated for alt-right links.
By who?
By the DC Charter School Board. So this activist Lacey McCauley is basically trying to smear him as a white supremacist, and he has a website and he blogs a lot, and in his blogs you can see that he clearly disavows people like Richard Spencer.
Well, so this is a guy who is friends with, like, I think he's friends with Cernovich and Cassandra Fairbanks and Lucy and Winrich and these new right personalities. He works for the DC Public Schools. Is that where he works?
DC Charter School.
DC Charter School. And apparently he's posted a whole bunch of like anti-feminist, pro-Trump stuff.
Yeah.
I guess he was like a lefty who turned to a Trump supporter.
Right.
And now Lacey McCauley, who is this really well-known anti-fascist activist, is straight up calling him a white supremacist. Lacey McCauley has actually said, I am not trying to get him fired, I just think people should know. So I think it's a fair assumption that she's trying to get him fired without saying it, but we can't definitively say she is, although I think most people would assume she's trying to get this guy fired. Mm-hmm. But, this guy Jack Murphy, I guess his name is, what's his real name, John Goldman?
Jack Goldman, I think.
Jack and John, that's the same name, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like, I'm friends with Cassandra. I'm not friends with, like, Cassandra's friends. Cassandra knows a lot of people. Like, she's hanging out. I don't hang out with people. I hang out with Cassandra every so often, but maybe a couple times every quarter. Not very often, but I think Cassandra's awesome. I don't hang out with her friends, but I know she's friends with, like, people like Jack Murphy, and they're very defensive of him. But look, this guy Jack Murphy posted a whole bunch of nasty stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like you
I mean, he deleted this post, but you can find it from the Internet Archive, and it's called "Do Feminists Have Rape Fantasies?" And throughout this, he makes a lot of claims about feminism and that feminists want rape, and then he goes on to say feminists need rape, and it's really kind of disjointed and almost sounds ranty.
They personally want it, or they use it, they need it to have an argument.
He thinks that they have rape fantasies and they're denying it, and he says feminists especially, it saves their lives, and it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, by definition...
Oh, okay, so he says, therefore I'm offering rape to feminists as an olive branch.
So, I think there's kind of like a left-right fracturing of understanding what rape means. Like, by definition, you can't want rape. Like, a rape fantasy I get, but ultimately that just means rough sex. Like, rough, dominating sex.
Right, and
like,
so he says, let's come together over consensual rape.
That's like oxymoron.
Yeah, he's obviously making a joke. He's not actually offering to rape people, you know?
Well, you can't offer him, because you can't.
You know, that's what I'm saying. So
Like,
people who purposely pretend they don't understand it's a joke. I don't know.
Well, the point is, if you are offended by the things that Jack Murphy says, I'm right there with you. Like, I'm rarely offended, but what I mean to say is I respect your right to question the statements made by this man. However, he is not a white supremacist. And I'm fairly certain he has denounced white nationalists. And there was actually Oliver Darcy from CNN on the record, on Twitter, said he witnessed Murphy trying to fight Richard Spencer. I'm like,
Yeah, and
that's,
even in his blogs, he called Spencer all kinds of nasty names.
Like what?
Oh, can I say this on our podcast? Pussy Dick Spencer. He calls him Pussy
so
Dick.
bad.
He calls him Pussy Dick Spencer over and over
I
again.
think that might be an issue for iTunes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We
Might
can't
be.
swear on iTunes?
I'm not sure. But it says, there's like a little thing that says...
We would have to put an explicit warning.
Yeah, an explicit warning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
sure.
think people would be fine with that.
Not safe for work. So I was talking to somebody, and I don't want to call people out because some of these are like private conversations. But my thing was like, look, man, I know that so many people are upset that Lacey McCauley is targeting Jack, and he's on administrative leave now from his job. But Cernovich did basically the same thing with Sam Cedar. I mean, I'll say this, to be fair, a lot of people have accused Cernovich of taking the tweet out of context, and I don't believe that to be true. I think Cernovich acknowledged that Sam Cedar's rape joke was a rape joke, and that it was meant to be in defense of the left, but the point was, rape jokes aren't supposed to be funny, and that Sam Cedar was willing to make a rape joke, and that's not cool. However, Lacey McCauley is flat out calling this guy a white supremacist, and that's an absolute lie. Because even when you have a CNN journalist on the record saying this guy tried to fight Spencer, Lacey McCauley's response to me was like, Spencer isn't the only Nazi, and some Nazis don't like Spencer. It doesn't mean he's not a white supremacist. And I'm like, come on, like he's never said. I don't believe that this guy Jack has said anything definitively white nationalisty or white. In fact, didn't he like deny it, like denounce it and say,
Oh yeah,
I'm not.
He rejects the alt-right label, and I think he's part of the new right.
Yeah. These are people who held a counter rally. Like, they were holding a rally in DC. Spencer got added to the bill, so they all immediately disavowed and held a different rally away from him, countering Spencer because they don't like what the white nationalists. I mean, the Cernovich disinvited several people from the Deplorable last year because they're white nationalists. So there's a huge difference between these two groups. And that's why, I mean, when a CNN journalist on the record's like, oh yeah, I witnessed this, like, this dude tried to fight Spencer, I'm like, look, you can call him whatever you want, but I think there's more evidence to suggest he really doesn't like white nationalists than to call him a white supremacist. Like this, it seems like Lacey's flat out lying.
Yeah, I mean,
this stuff to me is just, it's absolutely evil. Sometimes I sit in disbelief at, like, there's Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is easily explained by incompetence. And I love that saying, that razor. You're supposed to assume that Lacey just is that stupid. That she really truly believes, because she's that ignorant, that this guy is a white supremacist. But it's so hard to do. Because, Lacey McCauley is like in her late 30s. She's been doing this for a long time. She works in communications. She knows how this stuff works. And there's not one quote from this guy Jack where he says something like, white supremacist or white nationalisty. So I have to assume she knows she's lying, right?
She probably knows if she screams loud enough, it becomes true.
Yeah, and she's pinning tweets and doing it over, and she's getting other people to back it up. It's very manipulative, Mm-hmm.
But now we're talking about her, so it's working.
Yeah, but we're shining a light on. We're being critical of her, and I just, along with like the Chelsea Manning stuff, which we'll get into, I just can't it's so hard to believe that people are actually this evil, because I tend to believe that people aren't necessarily like I don't necessarily believe in good and evil. Like, you know, everything's subjective, and it's I think it's varying degrees of selfishness and selflessness. The most selfish person, right? You've got someone with like impulse issues who wants to murder and maim and rape, a serial killer. They literally just do not care about anybody else. They care more about themselves to the point where they want to satisfy an urge to murder.
You know, this kind of reminds me of is not to plug myself, but I made the video about Jack's films, where I basically slander him. But there's no way I could have watched his videos.
But satire, you got to clarify that.
Oh yeah, satirically. But there's no way I could have watched his videos and made that video without seeing the full videos and knowing that he was joking when he said all those things.
Yeah, well, so
she couldn't have. She had to have read his stuff.
You're right, but it's possible she's just dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? So I don't think she's. It's. I don't know. People often say like Donald Trump's an idiot, and I'm like, that's not true at all. Donald Trump is not an idiot. You can disrespect him. You can think he has bad judgment. You can think he's emotional. But certainly the man is not stupid. You can't be stupid and win the presidency. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, he did something right. He understood something. Impulsive, emotional, sure, call him a bunch of things, but, like, come on, man. Like, I know stupid people, and they can't even set up a chessboard.
I think their argument is that he had a team of people that were smart and then pulled him to the top.
So, I mean, look, Donald Trump is, I think it's just naive and ignorant to call the guy an idiot.
Yeah.
Hate him. By all means, dislike him, dislike his policies and everything he's doing. But let's be real. The guy isn't dumb. He might be impulsive, emotional. He might be tactless.
And disconnected.
Sure, all of those things. But stupid, he is not. Because he's doing, like, if at the very least he knows who to hire and how to get them to work, like, he's doing something right. He might not be the smartest guy on the planet, but people are acting like he's this low IQ slackjawed. I don't want to get into Donald Trump. That wasn't the point. The point was, Lacey McCauley is misguided maybe, but I don't think she's stupid. I think she's unreasonable. I think she knows what she's doing, and I think she is, in my opinion, she is purposefully smearing this guy. This is what, look, I feel like Cernovich and a lot of these people in the new right do this because the left does it, right? It's like this mentality of, okay, if you're going to lie about us being Nazis, we're going to lie about you too. Because I've been on the ass end of being called alt-right, and it's absolutely insane when, you know, on Facebook, this is what blows my mind. I have never posted anything for or against immigration for the most part. In fact, the only things I've ever posted have been like pro-immigration. I understand a lot, you know, Trump people are pro-immigration too. Mm-hmm. It's just they're concerned about illegal immigration. But when it comes to like Sweden, for instance, I'm flat out like, well, I think the right's a little too extreme and the left is a little too extreme. I think the truth is somewhere closer to the middle. That makes me a Nazi. I've never tweeted something like, we should have this policy or this policy. Yet for some reason, people are trying to like act as though Cernovich and I have the same political beliefs, which is far from the truth. And they tried to act. Someone posted, Tim, I've seen dozens of photos of you hanging out with Nazis. And I'm like, that's just not true. Literally not true. I don't hang out with anybody. I go to the skate park by myself. The only people I hang out with are you guys. Like, I'm sitting at home all day, like, on the computer working, or if we're traveling, it's like, you know, Emily, you're traveling, or Chris is in the other room, or I said your name. You're doing work. But it's mind-blowing to me that there are people, this is the game they play, I guess. And I have to say, I feel like, you know, someone said to me on Twitter, they were like, you only ever criticize the left. And I'm like, I'm criticizing a specific group of people for a specific behavior. You know, I take exemption to being told like I only criticize one group because when bad behaviors are exhibited by the right, I've called it, I made like 3 videos about Charlottesville. But you have people who, like, they have, like, I don't know. I feel like Lacey's the kind of person who knows full well Jack is not a white supremacist, and she's convincing a bunch of people who don't know better and aren't going to look into it that he is, and they will never challenge it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so when people go on Facebook and they're like, Tim, I've seen you in dozens of pictures of Nazis, I'm like, no, you didn't. I know that's not true. Why do you believe that? You did not see me in photos with Nazis. Those photos don't exist. So why do they believe that?
Because that's what they heard.
Right. That's the word on the street.
I think I'm one of the best examples of it's not about politics, it's pure tribalism. 100%. Because I can make a documentary about institutional racism in Ferguson where I'm flat out like racist housing policies are causing like these problems. And the right is like, well, I disagree with you, but I appreciate that you made the documentary. Simply because I'm not being like a provocatory agitator, but the left is just like, you refute me, you're the enemy, period. You're a white supremacist.
Or when we go to refugee camps in Greece and people where they're looking at the conditions and people still think that you're
Like we went to a community center where we were like in awe of this amazing thing they were building in Lesbos. They were building this. The art was beautiful, and like we filmed us. We're like, wow, it's really amazing what you guys are doing to help these guys. We met several refugees who were like, I just want to work really hard. I want to come here and do the job. And I'm like, wow, that's so inspirational. And then why is it that the people who are supposed to be the racist, anti-immigrant people are the ones going like, well, I think you could have done a better job, but I appreciate you trying to be honest. And the left are the ones who are like, you're a Nazi. I'm like, but we just showed you like the nice people. It's because, you know what? It's because I'm respectful, and it's tribalism. It's kind of terrifying, actually. But actually now we can, this is like a perfect segue to talk about Chelsea Manning. You guys want to talk about Chelsea Manning? We talked about her last week. I talked about her a couple days ago.
Well, I mean, she's gone quiet.
Yeah.
Since the Daily Beast article. I
made this video, and the Daily Beast article came out 2 days ago.
Oh, except for her statement, which...
It was 2 days ago.
Oh, that was 2 days ago.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pull it up specifically. 2 days ago, Chelsea Manning said, after seeing the alt-right at Charlottesville, I tried too hard to do too much. I tried using my access/privilege to find ways to fight and undermine them. We need to understand the threat they pose to everyone. She is not talking about Richard Spencer. She is not talking about Andrew Anglin or Weave, the Daily Stormer. She's specifically talking about Cassandra Fairbanks, a former Bernie Sanders supporter who is, I think Cassandra's half Puerto Rican, opposed to white nationalism, never once has aligned or anything with the alt-right. She's been called alt-right, but it's always been strange to me because Cassandra is actually she's kind of pretty much to the left of a lot of these like even new right figures, because she even still defends Chelsea Manning. Well, now it's a bit different, but for the longest time when the right has been like Chelsea is a traitor and, calling Chelsea he and saying Bradley instead of Chelsea and things like that, Cassandra is still like, she lost several hundred Twitter followers like a week ago because she was like, I respect Chelsea Manning and the things that she did, and I will not, I will use her pronoun and everything like that. Cassandra is, she's an interesting case study, I suppose. Chelsea Manning is saying that her, she was using Cassandra to gain access to the, quote, alt-right. This Daily Beast article, oh my God, it is the most insane narrative I have ever read. The Daily Beast is bad, but this is just insane.
Well, I just feel like all of the intel she supposedly was uncovering is all stuff that you can pretty much know without...
She wasn't uncovering intelligence.
I know, yeah. Stupid.
There's so on Facebook, most of the people who are friends with me on Facebook are like Occupy Wall Street people. And then there's like a small percentage of, more conservatives and libertarian types. And they some of them rag on me a lot because, like, you're nuts, Tim, but I don't know why they're still friends with me. But one prominent Occupy activist said, no one is buying the intel gathering narrative. Like, we're not stupid. Come on. They were like, why couldn't she just say that she wanted to meet with these figures and, learn more about them and, that's it.
Yeah,
that's that simple.
I think people would have respected that.
No, they would have called her a Nazi.
Some of them would, but I still think that more rational people would respect her for, standing her ground.
So, okay, so let's get. I want to talk about a couple. I want to talk about some updates first. And then because we did talk about this last week, but there's been some pretty interesting updates because it is now 100% confirmed. Cassandra Fairbanks and Chelsea Manning friends. Apparently, they went to like American Girl stores or whatever the hell it's called. Like we've seen these photos of them at the Escape Room DC. There's the photo of Chelsea at the Cernovich event. And a photo of Chelsea at Lucien Winrich's home playing Cards Against Humanity. And now apparently Cassandra went on Periscope and said they've done more than that, like going to the mall and shopping together and then hanging out, more than Chelsea has said. Cassandra tweeted, this tweet's been deleted, but look, I'm sorry, Cassandra, this stuff exists. You put it on the internet, it's there forever. Yeah. She said, I'm sorry, Chelsea. I said I would happily have your back with whatever narrative involving me. I did not say that I would sit back while you imply my friends have links to Charlottesville or are white nationalists. Your, quote, soft landing shouldn't have been hurting others. And the soft landing statement is a response to messages, a series of messages that Cassandra posted. And again, she did delete this. I'm going to try and read it because I don't have a screenshot. I've got a scrape, which is essentially a crappy little image. But basically, Chelsea said, "It's blowing over with my friends. I've got a lot of people confused and telling me it was a bad idea, but they're still my friends." And then Cassandra said, "Everyone was fine with me last night, but now Gavin is on a warpath and riling everyone up. We probably should have planned this better." Chelsea responded, "I planned a soft landing for myself, learned how to defend myself in the media quick. Sorry you're in the crossfire." So this is one message that Cassandra posted where after the backlash and all these stories are coming out, Chelsea had apologized to Cassandra for being in the crossfire. That doesn't sound like she's gathering intel. I feel like if this was an intel gathering thing, she would have been like, "Cover's blown, I'm out."
Yeah.
And then what does she post on Twitter? She says, "Oh, after seeing the alt-right in Charlottesville, I tried too hard." And she issued a statement following this where she said, I'm running because our world should be better for everyone always. Fascists, alt-right deserve no platform. We stand opposed to them. I took up an opportunity to gather intel on them because the ideology they peddle threatens everyone." Yeah, not true. I would say beyond a reasonable doubt, to like 99%, we know that Chelsea and Cassandra are friends, because somebody who's opposed to fascism wouldn't be apologizing to the subject of their spying operation, unless, well, she really is sorry. And then how does the left and right feel about that? I mean, it's mind blowing to me, watching all this stuff go down with the Chelsea Manning appearing with these people, that anyone would believe the things Chelsea is saying. Like, what is shout out to the protesters staying out in the cold. Like, seriously? Like, you're inside drinking, smiling, and laughing, and some people are out in the cold. Not only that, but
Wait, she tweeted that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but one of the guys was arrested for strangling a 56-year-old man. Literally, there's a video of it. You can apparently this guy left the party, and I was told that he was warned not to leave the party by himself and to get a car, but he left, and one of these protesters stalked him. This is a story I've heard, and then attacked him from behind and strangled him, and the police arrested the activist. So it is a fact that he was arrested for strangulation, that he attacked a 56-year-old man. It's reported far and wide. As to the stalking and attacking by the subway, that's more from like on the ground reports from people who are associated with the right, because obviously the left isn't going to rat out the guy who got arrested. Mm-hmm. But that's who Chelsea Manning is giving a shout out to, and this is crazy because I feel like you've got two scenarios. These right-wing individuals who are not fascists, who are not white supremacists. This is more of like run-of-the-mill Trump supporters. Sure, I mean, like, Cernovich has got relatively sordid past, right? The things he said in the past have been pretty egregious, and I believe Cernovich, he did align with the alt-right at one point, right?
Yeah, he did, and then...
And the explanation we've heard from, like, Paul Joseph Watson and Milo and Cernovich, not that Milo's never aligned with the alt-right, I'm pretty sure, is that they thought the alt-right was, like, a mischievous, anti-traditional, anti-establishment, like, conservative movement. And, people like Cernovich and Paul Joseph Watson didn't realize that,
I think they thought it was an alternative right.
Right, exactly. Not that it was like, like Spencer going up, raising a glass and saying things that were akin to like Nazi slogans.
Yeah. So then they tried to separate and do the new right thing.
Yeah. So this is why I always tell people, like, you should never align with anybody. I don't want to align with anybody.
Seriously.
Because look, second wave feminism is a beautiful thing, right? Christina Hoff Sommers is a smart person. I understand that there's there's legitimate criticisms of her for sure. But you look at second wave feminism, which is, actually getting women the opportunity to do so much. But now you have third wave feminism, which I will say there's a lot of I think there's a lot of things about it that I can respect, but it's becoming I don't know what the right word is for it. There's too much in it now. Now you've got like third wave feminists who are pro or anti-trans. They're fighting each other. You've got third wave feminists who are pro or anti-Islam. It's like very contradictory, and a lot of it's, dare I say it, toxic behavior. So you want to say, I believe in gender equality, so I'm aligned with this group, and then what happens 20 years later? Now that group is attacking you, calling you a fake ally. Like Bernie Sanders, for instance. Several people called him a fake ally. It's like, yeah, So what happens when people like Cernovich or whoever, they align with the alt-right? Well, then it turns out the alt-right are white nationalists, and that means you agree with them. So the Daily Beast article is some of the most insane... It's like I'm reading a fiction novel. Like seriously. So here's a quote from Chelsea Manning in this Daily Beast article. Charlottesville was a wake-up call for me. I saw how these people will actually kill us, and we need to do something about it. I felt like I hadn't done enough. I just can't sit and watch everything get worse. So apparently this is a quote from Berkeley, that the reason she joined, with Antifa and got involved was because they're actually going to kill us.
Who's going to kill them?
The Charlottesville people, like the white nationalists.
But the they is very... I feel
Well,
like
this
she
quote-
chose that word to be intentionally vague. And,
But that quote's from before this controversy, right? The point is, this narrative that she's like going after the alt-right, but she's hanging out with Cassandra Fairbanks. It's like, any reasonable person is going to be like, Cassandra's not alt-right.
And
she's like mixed.
If she did try infiltrating the Charlottesville group, it wouldn't work.
What?
I don't think it would.
oh, I mean,
Chelsea?
Yeah.
No, yeah, and this is what's really offensive. At the end of this article, this really pisses me off a whole lot. I think Chelsea Manning is evil. Dare I say it? There's lying to the left to gain power, to manipulate, when it's so clear that she was just friends with these people.
Would you say she's acting like a politician?
Yeah, that's another thing I said. You know what? Maybe she'll do really well as a politician because she's willing to stab the people who are nice, her actual friends. She stabbed them in the back, threw them under the bus, and the people who are nasty and attacking her, she's desperately trying to placate. Mm-hmm. So this is the final statement in the Daily Beast article, which is going to offend a lot of people. People have every right to be confused and hurt by this, Manning said. Regardless of good intentions, I leveraged my privilege to gain access to spaces other couldn't dream of entering safely. I never meant to hurt my supporters. No amount of information on the alt-right is worth losing the trust of my supporters. Wait. I leveraged my privilege to gain access to spaces other couldn't dream of entering safely.
Who couldn't enter?
Who?
You think they would let she's a transsexual?
She's transgender. Trans woman.
You think they would let a trans woman in before they let a black guy?
I don't know who she's specifically talking to, but there are black Trump supporters.
Yeah.
There's Latino Trump supporters. There's
I'm sure they could have bought tickets.
And
I'm
they
sure there
they,
was-
they did.
Yeah.
You can look at. There's a ton of people who were there.
Yeah.
And the idea that she said something about being trans. Like let me try and find this quote because it's something. Gavin McInnes said they're saying that he went like a transphobic rant. Okay. So here's another quote. Manning said, "There was a panel as I walked in, and one of the people on the panel was actually making a transphobic rant. This was an environment I was walking into. I made it clear that I'm here because I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to hide. I'm not afraid. I will fight you. I view my presence in this event as a form of protest in and of itself because they would never allow somebody like me into a place like that." Okay, there's more. "I want to be clear that they let me in because they knew who I was and therefore they gave me that privilege to be there. Would they let any other trans person into that event? The answer is no." I'm just gonna say it. Fuck that. I'm swearing, I rarely swear, but that's absolute 100% bullshit.
Maybe if Gavin was at the door taking tickets.
No, Gavin shook her hand and smiled, and he's a dick. And he mocked, trans women for sure. But there are several trans people, trans women, who, like Blair White, for instance, has a lot of respect from the Trump supporting community. I mean, she's a conservative. She's a trans woman. Been on the Rubin Report. Blair had a I don't even necessarily want to call it a debate. She had a discussion on her channel with Ben Shapiro, and they respectfully communicated about their disagreements over the use of pronouns. They would absolutely allow trans people in. I have been to these events and interviewed these people. There are a handful of trans women who are at these events. What blows my mind about this, and what offends me, and why I think Chelsea is evil, is that she is trying to scare people. She is trying to, this division that is being sowed is the most overt and dangerous mentality. Look, there are certain people within actual white supremacist groups and certain people who are aligned with the alt-right. I don't want to blanket all of the alt-right. I know people like, Baked is, I would call him misguided, Baked Alaska, simply because honestly, I don't know what his intentions are, but Baked Alaska is a guy who'll hold the door open for you. He'll apologize to you. He's denounced violence and things like that. I don't think he's a bad person, but I don't like his politics. Yeah. However, there are people on with the alt-right who are much worse than that, and I've seen some people put on balaclavas with skulls on them and go punching people in the head.
So would they have let Richard Spencer into the party?
Probably not.
Yeah. Would Richard Spencer let Chelsea Manning into his party?
I don't know. I think he would. I think he would because Spencer is he's good with playing PR. And, it's hard to say, though, because...
Yeah, because it's not actually happening.
Because the alt-right are not necessarily all the alt-right, but the further the right you go to the more, like, white nationalist-y groups, they don't like degenerates. And that includes, even on YouTube and Twitter, you'll see, like, when Cernovich retweeted the video I made, a bunch of the people who are responding are saying, like, he, like, I'm sure people watching this are gonna feel similarly that, Chelsea Manning's a he, and they're not gonna agree with the gender stuff. So it's hard to know whether or not people who are taking offense to, one, Chelsea Manning's past with leaking to WikiLeaks, the things she's doing now with conservatives would allow her into a space like this. But the fact is, the average Trump supporter, even those like Gavin McInnes, who are going to openly mock, like this, it's one thing to misgender somebody, but Gavin was pretty hardcore on mocking trans women.
Yeah.
And he's going to shake her hand. And Ben Shapiro said that, for the sake of, I don't want to misquote him, but I was watching the video with him and Blair, and he was like, look, if, I'm walking to a restaurant, and there's a trans woman who, in all outward appearances is a woman, I'm going to say, and someone says, like, where are you sitting? I will say, by her. I will use that pronoun because it's not worth trying to argue with someone why that person is male. But I think he was saying in things like articles and publications, this is a he, and it should be clarified that way. So even Ben Shapiro's a reasonable approach. Even when he disagrees with it, he's like, well, look, I'll use it this way. I understand. So this blows my mind. What is it? I'm going to read this again. I view my presence. Oh, yeah. Would they let any other trans person into that event? The answer is no. That is absolutely insane. And you know what? I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Cassandra who said this, but Blair White went to a protest in Los Angeles and got attacked. Fingernail ripped off. Yeah, it was
by who?
By the anti-Trump people. They saw her wearing like a MAGA hat and they attacked her. So can a trans person go to a pro-Trump trans person go to a left-wing event? Well, we've seen instances where they've been physically attacked. Blair had her nail ripped off. Fingernail. That's gotta be painful. I don't know if I think it might have been fake, but like either way, like no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see like the blood of the nail got ripped off.
Oh.
Yeah,
so someone grabbed her by her fingernail and pulled.
They got into a fight, something. I don't know. She maybe pushed her or something.
My fingernail. Oh.
But it gets ripped off in a scuffle. There's been several instances where people who have been Trump supporters are. Look at the event. The 56-year-old guy walking to the subway gets attacked a guy gets arrested for this guy who got attacked. They said he may have almost died. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but according to a few of the different news reports I read, these are official newspapers, not like blogs. The EMT said he had a low pulse and they had to perform CPR on him because when he fell, he hit his head on a curb or something. And then they brought him to the hospital, and he's in stable condition.
And that's why you don't attack people.
Even
a simple push can kill him, and then you're in trouble.
Did Antifa say anything about the activist who did that, like disavowing his violence, or?
Oh, I doubt it. I mean, Chelsea Manning gave a shout out to the protesters after the fact. Like that tweet was apparently after she got back or something.
She waved at him as she left the party into her limo too, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, supposedly she went out there and talked to the protesters, and people confirmed that. So people are like, Tim, how come you're criticizing the left? Oh, well, look, is MSNBC going on TV right now saying, like, this is bad? We had a bunch of left-leaning politicians. Even Bernie Sanders, during the campaign, was like, stop doing this. The left has criticized the left, and I think that's fair. Yeah.
But so the only examples we have so far... Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. At least in terms of high-profile public incidents, we have Blair White going to a protest and getting attacked, and we have Chelsea Manning going in and shaking hands with people. According to even Jared Holt of Left Wing Watch, people gendered her correctly.
Right Wing Watch.
Right Wing Watch, sorry. Yeah. Left Wing Watch, no, that's something else. Jared Holt is Right Wing Watch. He's like a lefty guy. He's very... He called Sargon of Akkad like white nationalist or something. Like the dude's...
Really?
Yeah, like, come on, man. You can... This is what... Look, criticize people because you don't like their ideas, but don't call them white supremacists. Seriously. But even he acknowledged that Chelsea was treated respectfully. And so that's... Whether or not you think these people at Cernovich's event really do want to respect her, some people say, oh, they're trying to maintain optics and look good for the press. Okay, whatever the reason is, they didn't attack Chelsea Manning, and they certainly would allow Blair White And there's a few other trans people that they're not necessarily as prominent, so I don't need to call them by name, but they're in Berkeley. There are people saying trans women for Trump. Like,
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember?
Yeah, I
you know what I'm
remember
talking
that,
about.
yeah.
In Portland, when I went to that infamous photo of me supposedly hanging out with the alt-right, which was a dinner where I was going and kind of like interviewing these people, talk to them about the event, what happened. There was a trans woman there, and we had a conversation, and I asked, so maybe actually, yeah. Let me walk this back and say even the alt-right would probably be okay with trans people, because the people at Portland, many of them were actually alt-right. Many of them were not. They were kind of like alt-light, but there were alt-right white nationalists there, and there was no issue. They didn't attack a trans person. I think even, I do not expect Spencer to ever actually instigate a fight. Although he has been the more extreme of the right-wing factions. When there's an interview with, I think it was with Nightline, they said, what if white people don't agree with you? He said, we will force them to be free. Oof. Right, so it's like he's a bit more in alignment with the far left in terms of violence. But, however, I really would never, I would be shocked if the alt-right went somewhere and like showed up at a left-wing event and started attacking people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like every single instance has been the left showing up to the right's event and attacking them.
Because,
am I wrong?
They think that the right would attack them, maybe.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't know, man. I don't like alt-right politics. I respect their right to have their politics, to speak their minds, to vote, to do their thing, so long as they aren't beating or attacking people. And I think advocating for violent genocide is absolutely crossing the line, but these people aren't doing that. Some people are, for sure. There's always an extreme, extremist along with any group. But for the most part, they have this, like... I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's a fairly weak argument about a white homeland. And so I don't know how you enact that. And I'm not going to assume, like the left does, they say, well, the only way to do it is with violence, so therefore you're advocating violence. No, maybe they're a dead end. Maybe they can't enact it. But I certainly don't see them advocating showing up with swords, bats, clubs, and beating people. And even with, like, the Boston rally, which, again, I wouldn't label everyone alt-right, but I pointed this out on my live stream last May in Boston. Antifa showed up with clubs and bats, and the right-wing faction showed up with shields. And I was like, I think this is a really good understanding of what you have here is you have the 4chan kind of people. I don't know what you necessarily want to call them, the anime right or whatever. You had some alt-right people. You had the Oath Keepers. And what do they have? They have shields with Pepe on them. Shields! Like the body armor and shields. And then Antifa's carrying clubs.
Well, Oath Keepers usually are...
Like offense, defense.
I don't think they were armed in Boston, because I don't think you
No, I wasn't there, so I can't...
But Oath Keepers, yeah, they're armed.
They're usually armed.
Yeah.
Are there pictures of that? Of them going at it with one side defending with shields?
Oh, like
From
in Boston?
Well, in Boston there was only a few scuffles. But, yes. Like, it's the weirdest thing that these articles, like Mike calls the Proud Boys like a violent faction. And it's like, well, hold on, man.
You can attack people with shields, though, and you can defend yourself with a club.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe...
Oh, yeah. The thing is, you to understand is that Antifa, they're all trained fencers. So they're really good with using, blunt objects like swords to defend, And the reality is the alt-right secretly trains in shield bashing techniques
like
so they can play the press.
Isn't that what the Vikings did?
Well, they had like the spikes on the shoulder. Well, you can use shield as a weapon for sure, but it's less effective than a club. But the point is, like, you can see these two groups, and one is overly offensive and one is more defensive. But you hear these news articles, and they are straight up attacking the right as like the violent right. They want genocide.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, because in Charlottesville, people did show up with weapons.
But that's not the same as Cernovich.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in Charlottesville, that was crazy. A bunch of dudes with shields, with like, I don't know these symbols like the black sun and things that are like,
And I think it is those more extreme groups, like even during the White Lives Matter rally in Tennessee, they couldn't bring weapons, but they had to leave their weapons. One guy came in with a microphone stand that he was going to use like a baton, but for the most part, they could only bring their shields.
Umbrellas.
But they wouldn't even let the counter protesters in with anything other than signs.
You want to know what the funniest thing out of all this is? For me personally, Jack Smith from Mike, who wrote this article defending Chelsea Manning, There's he posted a photo of two photos of Manning at Lucy and Rich's apartment and said something like, also, Manning allowed photos of her to be taken at Lucy and Winrich's apartment. That would be extremely odd behavior for someone trying to hide they have secret right-wing affiliations. Okay. Then they take a photo of me from Portland where I was meeting up with people after the rally to interview them and kind of do like debrief, like what happened, what are you guys doing, what do you want? And they're using that as evidence that I am alt-right. So when it's Chelsea Manning, someone who says they're right, fascists are bad, I agree with you, they're like, oh, see, she was infiltrating them.
This proves it.
This proves it. Why would you take photos with them? And then when it's me, a journalist...
Oh, this proves it.
Exactly. It's tribalism.
This
It's literally...
proves whatever I want it to prove.
I guarantee that if I came out and made a statement where I was like, I denounce Jack Posobiec, the Nazi, and all these right-wing people, then the left would be like, oh, wow, he was really infiltrating them. He's a good journalist. But when I actually talk to these people and flat out, I'm like, hold on, I got this photo pulled up from the Mike article. You've got Cassandra, you got I think this is Jack Murphy, Will Chamberlain, Jack Posobiec, Lucien Winrich, Chelsea Manning, and two women. I'm not sure who they are, but like I actually talk to these people, and it's really weird to me that they call Posobiec like the Bumble thing where he got banned from Bumble. They're like saying he's like a hateful white supremacist or something, and I'm like, what? These people are relatively tame. Like they're pro-Trump. They don't like terrorism, and they're critical of Islam and things like that. Certainly, you can criticize them for that if you disagree with them. But why are you calling all these people white supremacists? Well, actually, I think I figured it out. I was thinking about it the other day, and the former editor-in-chief at Fusion, when I was there, Alexis Madrigal, he made his Twitter banner, "Down with Whiteness," and there was a bunch of black fists in the air. And I'm like... that's a bit extreme, but the idea is white... So here's what I realized. Actual white supremacists are all about the actual race of white people, right? The 14 words is literally about them protecting the future for their white children. It's overtly about their race. I think... maybe you guys all... maybe everybody realized this already, but when the left is talking about white supremacy, they're talking about this vague definition of whiteness, of like what whiteness is, right?
White culture?
But no, not even white culture, just whiteness. Like, I had a guy in North Dakota tell me that scheduling was whiteness.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, like, Asians don't have schedules, you know what I mean? That's what I got pissed about.
Who
I was
invented
like...
the calendar?
What?
I said, who invented the calendar? I don't actually know.
Everybody... all
Romans.
cultures had some kind of sense of time and math. But, like...
The Mayans.
Like, we don't... well, there you go. The Mayans had a calendar. They and actually, they had an extremely accurate star calendar.
So the Mayans are white. Big deal.
No, apparently that's whiteness. Like I think it's I don't want to be I don't know what the right word is, but that's not necessarily entirely fair. I think there's this idea of whiteness where it's like dominating behavior, colonialism, imperialism, all of these things they associate with white people, which is racist, by the way. Positive or negative discrimination based on one's race, especially when you consider that white people are actually kind of a minority on the planet. But for some reason, in the West, they're like super anti-white. But they have like that's what it is. White supremacy is more about this like culture of white behavior. And then actually, we'll end. This is another good segue to end on these demands. The protesters at was it Worcester?
The College of Worcester in Ohio.
Yeah. So a bunch of students had to sit in, made a bunch of demands, and you see these things relatively often where it's like. In Ferguson, actually, we'll start with Occupy Wall Street. They were pro-segregation. You know, not segregation in the sense where they're like, you're not allowed to communicate, like everyone has their own space, but kind of, yeah. Like they created caucuses based on race. Your voting body at Occupy, your ability to vote was based on your identity. So there was the Black Caucus, the Colored Caucus, the Asian Caucus, the Latino Caucus. Then you had like the Trans Caucus. Then there was a women's group. But then some of the women in the women's group were trans exclusionary, and they said trans women aren't women. So then another women's group was made. The point is, they started creating these voting bodies based on your race and your gender and your identity.
Was there a white group?
No, because white is default to these people, I guess. Or I don't know. In Ferguson, they had rooms that said colored only. And these weren't made by white people. These were made by Black Lives Matter activists. There are a few different signs like black spirit only, because the idea of transracialism has been emerging for a while. But calls for segregation have been on the rise, and now there's, I don't know, the student group is protesting. I don't know all their demands, but we can go through some. There's been accusations that they're calling for like straight up segregation, But I don't know. Do you want to?
Well, so the background on this is a far-right student posted something on a closed Facebook group that was apparently some racist meme or just post in general. And so there was an outcry against that, and they've asked for the student to be expelled, and the student's been removed from the campus until the investigation is concluded. But the sit-in happened. About 250 students sat in this administrative building and had a list of demands. There was a walkout where about 350 students just walked out of their classes. And so some of their demands are programs and initiatives, and they want more transparency from the just basically where all the budgets are, and
That sounds reasonable.
they want mandatory cultural competency training for students, faculty, and staff in order to foster a more welcoming and supportive atmosphere.
I would say that is reasonable, but what concerns me is how the program is implemented.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So all of these are, more or less understandable.
Is there anything that stands out? Because the what I've read of it from like right wing people has been more extreme.
Well, that's how I think what the problem is people are seeing that, and they're like, well, this has gone too far. And so basically they want minority student groups to have as much funding as the rest of the student groups.
Because I think what I've heard from some people is that if there's like a computer group, they need money for computers. But if you want to just give money to a group because based on their race is racist or something like that. So,
Well, yeah, that's what people are trying to argue.
Against or for? Against giving money to?
Well, like the idea that like if you are part of AV Club, you need this much money to buy your computers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are part of the multicultural club, you need this much money to be multicultural, or like what are the...
I don't think you need any money.
Unless you want to set up like events or something. A lot of the stuff that I've read, because I don't think the left has been talking a whole lot about this. I've seen more right-wing criticism. And I think, it's important to keep in mind, and hold on, somebody criticized me. They were like, Tim, you'll often criticize the left, and then briefly go like, yes, understand the right does this too sometimes, but then never actually criticize the right. And I'm like, dude, when is the right showing up to a party, in a private party in New York, and then strangling a 56-year-old man? So
Yeah.
like I will absolutely criticize that,
Yeah, the demands aren't it's they want to increase recruitment of marginalized students, make better accessibility for people with disabilities, increase resources and support for marginalized groups.
Yeah, so is anything in there overtly...
No.
Nothing seems extreme at all?
The people who are upset with this are saying that they have a culture, or they have intolerance towards the far right now, or just conservative students is what some people are saying, which isn't true.
They're just targeting one student.
Yeah, but other people are reading into this and
Yeah.
are saying, oh, well, it's going to apply to all conservative students. It's not. It's over one student who posted a racist thing on Facebook.
Do you know what he posted on Facebook?
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the racist thing?
No, because
'Cause
whatever
saying, like,
the
Taco
post
Bell's
was.
racist, too.
Yeah, I've been trying to find it.
I think when it comes to...
I don't think it would have been able to be deleted if it was extremely
It was a
racist.
closed.
Yeah.
It was a closed group, so I can't
Oh.
get into the group.
Well, the thing about all of this stuff is, I think a lot of concern. These people make these demands, and a lot of them are reasonable, but it's like the slippery slope argument. I think what people might be saying, oh, if they ban this guy because he posts something private to Facebook, then they're going to start hunting down people on Facebook, maybe. So I don't know. It's part of the bigger question of, are you allowed to have opinions on social media?
Well, apparently this college specifically has had other problems with racism towards students, and I think one of the other things of concern here there are allegations that professors specifically have made racist remarks, and these are unsubstantiated claims, and this is something they're going to be looking into, but for all we know, it could turn into another evergreen
the
situation.
future's gonna suck. Or maybe if we just quit doing news, and you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna start a gaming channel, and then I'm gonna just play video games all day. Oh man, because I play video games and I watch. Oh no, wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop right now. I was gonna make a joke about how it'd be just great to just play Overwatch all day and get paid to play video games and build a following doing that. And then I just realized that no, the culture war infects everything. I've been playing Magic the Gathering since I was a little kid, and I can't even play Magic now. It's mostly died. It's been a few months, so things have totally calmed down. But oh god, trying to play Magic, and people will be like, "Did you hear about this? This woman was being harassed, and the culture war and all this stuff." It really does infect everything. So I guess maybe I'll open an ice cream shop, and then
Yeah, but then you can only have. I mean, how are you going to have all of the flavors?
oh, because milk is racist.
Well, that and vanilla would be racist.
No, but milk.
They only had chocolate.
Sweden,
Racist
Sweden put out a pamphlet talking about how
Yeah.
milk was a symbol of white nationalism.
It'd have to be frozen yogurt.
Oh my god, there's cream and milk and yogurt. Okay, the milk thing's funny, but let's get serious and start talking about Steve Bannon, and we'll end off with the Bannon thing before we peace out. So, what's going on with Bannon?
So Bannon has been invited by a business professor to University of Chicago to have a debate. And the debate would be over globalization and immigration and whether or not it's good for the country. But people are upset that he was even invited. There's been protests over it already, and even people resigning, saying they want nothing to do with it.
Snowflakes.
Resigning from their jobs?
Resigning from positions, like specifically there's this editor who writes, well, she's the editor of this business school newspaper.
It's called a debate.
No. Okay, here's what it is. Some people are morally opposed to Bannon to the point where they're going to be like, I refuse. But I assure you there are people who are like, I'm worried about my career and my image if I don't denounce this right now.
Not in a debate. The whole point of a debate is to make someone you disagree with look like an idiot.
Well, not to look like an idiot,
Well,
but
you know
to
what I mean,
prove
though,
them,
yeah.
like to prove them wrong.
It's like, give me this opportunity because I'm right. I'm going to make them wrong, or I'm going to show them wrong.
It's a university.
So this editor said that she was going to refuse to participate in any job-related work that would facilitate Steve Bannon's appearance at University of Chicago, and then Human Resources told her that that could be construed as insubordination, and she could lose her job from it.
She should lose her job from it.
And so she preemptively resigned.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Look, if you have moral opposition to certain tasks required of your job, by all means quit. I think that's your right, and you should. Imagine if you were working for a company and they were like, we're going to do a bunch of things that make you, like, are against your ideals and morals. Like, we're going to start whacking dogs. It's like, I'd be like, no, screw that. I'm out. I quit.
But if they say, we're going to have a debate and you're against debating...
Don't work at university.
You know, that's what I think people don't think. Well, people will call it platforming. That the University of Chicago is giving Steve Bannon a platform for his message.
If her job said you have to defend him, and she opposed, like, yeah, what? I'm not defending him if I,
Right.
Do you think lawyers can say that? Lawyers have to defend child molesters because it is a legal right. Mm-hmm. And they're not happy about it.
Yeah,
Maybe
I wonder if
are.
they actually fail on purpose.
Yeah?
Like, all right, be honest with me. Did you do it? Yeah, I did it. Okay, I'm going to do my best job still, and...
I think that there's a legal obligation to defend the best of your
trouble.
ability.
Yeah, you probably get in trouble if they think that you're throwing it.
So let's not go on. Let's look.
So University of Chicago has tried to be the voice of reason in all of this platforming debate, and it's criticizing other campuses for creating safe spaces and not allowing offensive thoughts or speech, because they say that in order to be challenged, you need to be open to offensive arguments. So this is basically their way of showing that you can have a debate against someone like Bannon, and basically by having the debate, they have ways of shutting down his arguments, and it's not platforming. It's
I think a debate with Hitler would be great.
Are
It
universities?
doesn't mean you support Hitler.
right.
Well, hold on. Universities regularly play Hitler speeches.
Exactly.
Is that platforming Hitler?
Well, why are they doing it? On the loudspeakers?
No. They're having classes where they play videos.
Good morning, everyone.
Videos with no
All rise for our speech.
I assure you, professors are like, and now we're gonna see a speech from Hitler and whatever
History.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So they're platforming Nazis. Think about this.
We're supposed to erase everything from the textbooks.
There's going to be. I'm actually really looking forward to see how this plays out. A future where universities no longer platform objectionable ideas. So it's just like, today we're going to learn about the color gray.
About World War II. There were the Allies, and that's it.
Yeah. Because we don't want to let anyone hear any ideas about the Axis.
No, you can't even talk about stuff like that. You say the word Axis, you get expelled.
No, there were no allies because allies implies opposition. You can't say there's no war either. Listen, war implies. If you say there was a war, you're implying that the Nazis were on an equal footing with the Allies in terms of ideology.
There was no enemy.
No, there wasn't. There was no
The
war.
war happened.
No,
but there was no enemy.
no, because when you say there's a war, you're saying there's two factions, and you're equating Nazis with the Allies.
No, it was the Allies and those we do not speak of.
No, because the point is, you are creating a false equivalency between the ideals of the Axis and the Allies.
And that's better than giving
So you
them
can't
a
say there was a
platform.
war. There was the world incident where some people were upset about something, but we don't really want to talk about it because it's offensive.
But yeah, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Let's I should write a book called like the future of history, and it would be like a skit, kind of like a short thing where it's just like, in the past some things happened that were kind of hurtful and upsetting. We don't want to talk about them because even bringing up what happened is kind of offensive. So just keep in mind that bad stuff happens sometimes. But also, you should realize that bad stuff isn't going to happen anymore, and only good things happen now. Mm-hmm. There's your history book. All of history condensed into one paragraph.
There you go.
And we can erase the past. That's easy. But erasing the present is what's difficult.
Well, they're trying.
Yeah, I know. Like we're at war right now, and we're like, but we don't talk about it. Wait, what?
Well, no, it's just people lie. Like what's the present? Jack Murphy is a pro-Trump former liberal who has said some pretty horrible things, but is not a white supremacist. Well, they can erase all that by just saying,
wait a minute. Like
don't talk about him. Don't
all
platform him.
these
He's a
left
Nazi.
websites that talk about like the white supremacist right and stuff isn't that offensive, and they should stop talking about it. But they're the ones promoting it.
Well, it's contradictory.
Yeah.
Like platforming ideas. That's the thing that a lot of people on the left have criticized the left for, is that when you start, like Lisa McCauley is posting the things Jack Murphy has said. She is literally using her platform to share his message with people.
And it's offensive.
Right, and so people on the left are critical of things like this. They're like, whoa, why are you sharing these ideas? You shouldn't even be doing that.
Yeah, I purposely
Which is
blocked
like
all
insane.
the right side from Twitter.
So there's over 36 professors at University of Chicago who signed an open letter to the university's president, saying that they should not be giving him a platform for him to air his hate speech. And that's the thing. Like, if you can refute his claims with fact, then do it.
How hateful is his speech?
Well, I mean, he has positions that are...
Like if you heard him speak, you'd be like, what the hell?
I totally get what this professor's trying to do, and I've found his statement, and I agree with this. He says, I firmly believe that the current problems in America cannot be solved by demonizing people who think differently, but by addressing the causes of their dissatisfaction. Hate cannot be defeated by hate, only by reason.
Or by plugging your ears, you know? That only allows you to grow.
Plugging your ears? I think that's what they're trying to do.
That's
Well,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, no,
By denying,
don't let him talk.
denying
What
the
is it-
ability to even debate those ideas.
But there was some saying, I can't remember what it is, but plug your ears, by all means, go do it. Hide from it, act like it doesn't exist, and you give them free reign to expand. Mm-hmm. This is what I said to people. You know why you need to debate Bannon and Spencer and these people? And I don't even think Bannon is nearly as like people think Bannon's so extreme, and I don't think that's true. I think he's certainly on one side. But when you don't debate them, then the people are going to turn on that speech from Bannon, where he says a bunch of things without any counterpoints brought up, and they're going to say, wow, that sounds great. And you're like, I refuse to debate them. Okay, well then the only message that will ever come out is going to be Bannon saying only the good stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
These professors, it's almost, it's like Hanlon's razor. Are they really that dumb?
Yeah, well, they're professors. How do they not understand the power of debate?
At the University of Chicago, which is an institution that's always been on the side of
Higher
freedom
learning?
of expression.
Or it's it's one of the top schools in the world.
Is it?
Yeah, University of Chicago. Yeah. Obama lived a few blocks away from there. I walked past his house once. Isn't that cool?
While he was president, or?
Yeah. He wasn't actually in there, but I was like, oh.
It was guarded?
No. It's like on some block, but people always walk by and go, look, it's Obama's house.
Oh, it was like his house before you became president.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, okay, we'll
He
just
lives in
rent
the
it
White
out.
House now.
Probably.
University of Chicago is an extremely prestigious school, and I think it is. Here's you know what I hope is that this is a trend. This is some kind of like political trend, and then in a few years it'll go away. Like South Park made the joke where they're like, "Oh, PC's back," I guess, because it comes and goes. Like late '90s and now into the late 2010s. Yeah. Hopefully, this all just fizzles out and people chill out. But I don't think that's true because the internet is making tribalism worse. Yeah. The algorithms are solidifying bubbles. professors. I assure you, some of these professors don't actually agree. They're probably scared.
How they don't want to disagree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, this is what I tell people. Do you have anything to fear from the right? Sort of, no, for the most part. Are there instances where crazy-ass right-wing people go up and shoot up churches? Hell yeah. Ramming cars, all that crazy stuff, it happens. But what happens when you go to a party in New York in support of a night of freedom? Well, some guy will stalk you on your way out and strangle you. If like, the right isn't organizing mass protests, smashing windows, and attacking people. Antifa shows up to events and injures people. Antifa, for the most part, isn't going around with rifles and killing people. I recognize that, and there are instances of actual egregious, like, insane terrorism from right-wing people. But I would say, I would have no fear personally of attacking the alt-right, because the worst they've ever done to me is, like, smack talk online. But the left has posted, they physically attacked me in the street. I was in France, and a woman came up to me screaming capitalist. And I'm like, what? Like, these people are scary. So I'm not surprised universities are like, I do not want an army of black-clad people with clubs showing up at my house throwing bricks at me.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they put. I mean, I'm looking at their open letter, and there's...
Isn't that called terrorism? Using fear of violence?
Yes, I try to be careful with using terrorism and describe them, but I believe New Jersey Homeland Security has referred to it as domestic terrorism. Berkeley called them a street gang. Even though they're like disorganized, like it's not an organized group.
Well, if University of Chicago professors were actually worried about mobs of people coming because of the event, they should have said that. But in their open letter, it's all about about Bannon's viewpoints.
University of Chicago.
That's amazing.
When is this happening?
Well, they haven't picked a day yet.
Oh, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to get shot though. It's Chicago,
We should reach out to the professor who's going to be the moderator.
We'll see what happens. But is there anything else, or should we call it a day?
The only other thing on the list was Ben Shapiro at UConn, but that's not even.
I think we've we look, for those that are watching or listening, we could probably talk for 27 years. So in the interest of ending the show on that note, I think that's where we'll leave it. Stay tuned. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/timcast, where you're probably watching this video, and I'll have updates on all this stuff, as it happens. And I'm going to be looking into the James Damore thing, and I think it's in Portland, right? Mm-hmm. And Portland's interesting because there's a lot of Antifa people who directly threaten me all the time. And actually, I'm going to say this real quick. Portland's weird because I get a lot of people threatening me, but also people were coming up to me in the streets, shaking my hand and hugging me. And one dude gave me a free bottle of hot sauce. So it's a weird split between maybe that's something to do with people who do research and don't, and the people who actually know who I am and the work I do are this dude's cool. But anyway, I'm going to look into that. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. And then you've got the Bannon thing, University of Chicago. And I think that about does it. So it feels kind of like an abrupt ending, but I'll smooth it out. You can follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Emily and Reactor, you want to promote your stuff?
I'm on Twitter at MomesMolly, MOMESMOLLI.
And I'm on Twitter at ITSREACTOR. It's Reactor. Or you could check out my work on YouTube, my jokes.
Your jokes. This is the second episode, and we're still sorting out all the equipment and the cameras and everything. And if you're watching on YouTube, there are cameras. And if you're listening on iTunes or some other platform, there are not, and you're just hearing audio. So if you've made it this far, if you listen to the whole thing, search for us on iTunes, give us a fair rating. Hopefully you give us all of the stars and all of the great comments. I don't know how any of this stuff with rankings on iTunes works, but apparently it's important. So I appreciate everybody who has hung out for as long as they have. If you have any comments, if you're on YouTube, you can comment below, let us know what you think, or feel free to send any recommendations or emails or anything to. Do we have an email yet for?
Well, we have the working Gmail for Subverse, which is subversenet@gmail.com, but we're going to work on actual domains soon.
There we go. So for now, subversenet@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, suggestions. And again, thank you all so much for listening. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week, Sunday at 4 p.m.